now is Dr. Scott Atlas, former Trump White House COVID advisor. Dr. Atlas, I feel like you and I have lived in a time warp these past 3+ years, right? We knew the mask didn't work all those years ago. They had that big influenza study with cloth masks, and they just tried to destroy everyone who questioned the mask back then. But now, here we are again. The masks are back. What do you say to this madness?
Well, Laura, we have a crisis of both competence and ethical behavior here. I mean, to hear Fauchi and Birx, who presided over the biggest healthcare fiasco in a century with completely wrong information, spewing out misinformation and pseudoscience. Here's the facts. Number one, there is no deadly pandemic present. There hasn't been now for a couple of years. Number two, there is no public health emergency. So therefore, there should never be an emergency use authorization for some kind of experimental drug, which we're about to see. And third point, which is more specifically about masks here. Masks do not work, period. That's the science. That's all the data. If you believe in science at all, you look at the studies that were published by the CDC back in May 2020 that showed that masks were not protective for people in a viral respiratory infection. This has been validated over and over again. Annals of Internal Medicine, the Danish study in November of 2020, they were not protective, a randomized controlled trial. And then the Cochrane study earlier this year, which wasn't a single study. It was an analysis of all the sound scientific data, all of it. Fauci is spewing nonsense. And the Cochrane study had two important conclusions. Number one, the surgical medical masks did not show a reduction in respiratory viral infections. But the second point is there was no difference between surgical masks and N95 masks. Okay, so this is complete nonsense. I don't know what Fauci's talking about. The reason is because he doesn't know what Fauci's talking about. Again, we have a crisis here. We have a crisis of not just competence, we have people who refuse to admit they were wrong. Okay, the earth is round, 2 + 2 = 4, masks do not work, and those lockdowners will literally never admit they were wrong.